Hello, my name is Lucas. This is a bit of lit. I'm here to do a bit of a wrap up of what I've been reading and what I'm up to and what I'm planning. Because I've been reading quite a bit and I've read quite a few books, but I'm not posting those videos yet. I want to try and make my videos more in depth, so to speak. And it's Poetry Thursday, so I wanted to post a video for that. Hopefully, next week or so, I will have a more fancy Poetry Thursday video, but this is also supposed to be an update. And I've got a tag to do, which I think I will do tomorrow, actually. I read 2 Chinese books in Chinese. They're language learning books. I'm still in starter. They have about 150 words, and those words are pulled from about 1,000 common words. As you can see, all Chinese, and then we've got some explanations, we've got some pictures to show what's going on. The Legend of Chinese New Year's Eve discusses the end of the year where a monster comes to eat people in a village, and how there was an old woman left behind, and this old man came out of nowhere and protected her. And it just shows sort of where this traditional story. It's pretty cool. What I really like about these books, I haven't used this part of the book yet. Oh, I didn't even notice. There's a vocabulary list at the back all together. I guess there's the answer key here for the questions, different kinds of questions too. And then of course we've got the translation in English, should you desire to read it. So that's really cool. When I was reading this, there were a few words that I didn't know. Largely the words I didn't know were part of this. Even I might have known one of the words that were, because some of these have 2 characters. Maybe I knew one of them, or if they had 3 characters. Maybe I knew one of the characters, but I didn't know all of them. But there were a few words that it did expect me to know, and I either didn't know or knew that I'd seen it and I couldn't remember what it was, but I was able to just slowly piece it together what it was. Mostly the word that was confusing me was pao, like pao bu, like running, basically. I kept seeing it and I was like, I know that word, but I don't know what it means. But then I just thought about it in context and thought about it in Chinese, and I was able to figure it out. Oh, pao. I was very happy about that. I also read this starter book, number 19, I suppose. I don't know why this one doesn't have a number on it. You can see there's 19, no number, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of these. I've only got 2. Then I've got some of these other ones that have a different cover, but they're the same brand. I don't know why they have a different cover, but I kind of prefer those, even though I like purple. Hou the Divine Archer. This story is about Mid-Autumn Festival and that traditional story. It's about these 10 sons that are the sons of the Sky Emperor or something, and they cause some trouble. The youngest one wants to come to Earth to have some fun, and the others think, why don't we? And that causes problems. Hou deflates them, basically, shoots them with his arrows, and that makes the god Emperor angry, and then he curses Hou and his Chang'e, his girlfriend or wife or something, and she's sick, and then eventually she floats into the heavens, and she took some medicine, but that's why we have mooncakes for Mid-Autumn Festival, I guess. I have to read this one a lot because there were a lot more words that I didn't know, or words I should have known, and I couldn't quite figure them out. Anyway, I'm very happy to finally be getting to a point where I can start doing this. I'm gonna, again, this one also has the Chinese with pictures, very cool. It's got the English translation, questions, vocabulary, list at the back somewhere. Yeah, this one has a lot more. I was very confused reading that book, but very happy to do that. I've been reading Chinese flash fiction, which has 52 different stories, and it is really, really cool. There are some really famous authors. I even have some of their books. I have Raise the Red Lantern by Su Tong. He has a story in here, and it covers a whole bunch of different kinds of stories, whether it's like a traditional Chinese, ancient Chinese kind of story, or a modern story, stories of love, stories of romance or friendship or loss, different kinds of things. We've got some stories with animals, and we've got some sort of true stories or some moral lessons, some fables, and different kinds of things like that. In this book, I don't know why I put it down. It's really, really cool. I really like this book. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I would recommend it if you're interested in flash fiction. The stories are quite short. The longest ones are 7 pages, maybe, and then some of them are only like 2 pages. So this is really cool. I enjoyed it, and it comes from Society, China Flash Fiction Society. It's compiled by them. That's a Shanghai literary group, so that's pretty cool. I've also read Player Piano by Kurt Vonnegut, which is his first novel. I'm planning a whole series, so I will talk more in depth about Player Piano later. But for some reason, actually, I don't know why exactly I chose him, but for the past year I've been envisioning sort of more in-depth reviews than I normally do, that are more focused and set in a certain tone, and get more in depth than what I normally do, which is kind of blab on about how it makes me feel, which is perfectly fine for BookTube, I think. But I've also been thinking of having a kind of series of videos about different authors and exploring all of their, at least their novels, because some authors have written other stuff. Kurt Vonnegut, for example, has apparently written plays. I don't really want to read his plays at all. I don't want to read his nonfiction either necessarily, but I'm going to, just in case there's anything in there that will help inform me of anything that I might need to look for in some of his novels. He's a challenging author for me, so it might be a little tough for me, but I'm going to space it out with other books that I'm going to read. And yeah, Player Piano is an okay book. I don't particularly care for it. It's not, doesn't really feel like Vonnegut all that much compared. It doesn't have the self-referential kind of characters, doesn't really break the fourth wall, but it is satirical, and it's an imagining of a future where everything is automized through machines, where humans have lost their dignity because they're, maybe not quite smart enough. There's a kind of the socioeconomic divide is based on intelligence, not on any other lines in this. And our main character, Paul Proteus, he is the son of the top guy who was the second most important person in the country, who ran basically everything in terms of industry and commerce and food, and everything was all built and brought into one. After World War III was won, and the Second Industrial Revolution began with these machines, a lot of people were rendered pretty much useless, and the only choice they have is to join the Reeks and Rex Corps, which I will again talk about more in depth, or the army, or kind of just sit around, do nothing. And yeah, Paul is a managing engineer who's frustrated with his own life, and we get to see his transformation. I don't particularly enjoy him because he's an inactive protagonist. He kind of has things happen to him and he reacts to that sometimes, but usually the things that happen to him are just so rapid that he doesn't really have time to really make some choices. He kind of does in some spots, but and then our other main character that we're following is the Shah of Bratpur, who is an outsider from a foreign country, looking in. I believe he's there to see if his country should Ottomize like America has, because he's meeting with the Department of State and or a man Halyard from the Department of State, and he's making some observations about the people and whether they're in the military, they're just kind of around in the homestead, or what have you. And he always, in his language, calls them slaves, which yeah. There's some humor in here. A lot of it doesn't really work for me. There were a few parts I chuckled at. But yeah, I will talk more in depth about that in my video and in my series. But for now, it is Poetry Thursday. So we will read Elegy number 5 by John Donne, his picture. Here, take my picture, though I bid farewell. Thine in my heart, where my soul dwells, shall dwell. 'Tis like me now, but I dead. 'Twill be more when we are shadows both than 'twas before. When weather-beaten I come back, my hand, perhaps with rude oars torn, or sunbeams tanned, my face and breast of haircloth, and my head, with care's rash sudden hoariness o'erspread, my body a sack of bones, broken within, and powder's blue stains scattered on my skin. If rival fools tax thee to have loved a man, so foul and coarse as, I may seem then, this shall say what I was, and thou shalt say, do his hurts reach me? Doth my worth decay? Or do they reach his judging mind, that he should now love less what he did love to see? That which in him was fair and delicate was but the milk which in love's childish state did nurse it. Who now is grown strong enough to feed on that which to disused tastes seems tough? Thank you.